our B2C market, which is like our e-commerce store, it was basically just social media and stuff like that. And then that's how we started to get our first 10 customers, and then our first 50 customers, and so forth. It just goes on from there. So I'm not really sure of any particular method or formula that might work for everybody. But in our case, at a time when we didn't really have much advertising money, we had to do a lot of social media work to get this more known to the relevant readers, you know. What is more historical for me, at least in the B2B market, whereby we start supplying for the corporate sector, it came to us by accident. About 2.5 years ago, a public library here in Malaysia approached us and said, look, I want all these local titles to be served in our digital repository and made available for our members. So I said, yeah, sure. At that particular time, they were using an American platform, which cost them an arm and a leg. And we tried to supply those books via that platform, and it became even more expensive for them. Final conclusion was that they came back to us and said, look, can you build this for us to serve the local contents? What we did. And that started off our first customer for a very big business today for us, which is the library sector, whereby we are serving about coming to 11 libraries all across Malaysia currently. We super concerned about this. In the early stage, it's crucial that you have a good, well, not to say good, I mean, you're gonna have to have a lot of improvements. There's gonna be a lot of bugs in your contents and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, whatever complaints or whatever problems that your customers are having, you need to rectify that as soon as possible. So we were very, very particular about that. One of the things that we're really good at until today is our customer service, to make sure that whatever that they've paid for, they get, you know. So at the early stage, it was easier because we were only supporting one platform, which is iOS. But today we are dealing with thousands of users a day, and they're using different types of platform. So it is a bit harder. But for me, every time when we introduce a new product or new platform, it's always good to get complaints, because then you know at the very least that people are using it, you know, rather than not having anything and you don't know what's happening or how or what type of difficulties people are having when they are actually trying to utilize your product completely, not just partially, you know. We are selling non-luxury item. It's not Rolls-Royce, it's not Rolex, so I think anybody can afford this. But if you look at the demographics of Malaysia, if you look at the bigger population, if you look at where you can get the numbers, then our main focus would probably be the mainstream Malay. And hence, this is why we are focusing a lot on the Malay publication and so forth, because this is the number that can bring us the ROI back. If we're looking at the other sectors in here, like let's say if you look at Mandarin books for the Chinese market, this market has got the buying power. The urbanites, but it will not bring you the volume, especially amongst, you know, the urbanites, because they've got other options when it comes to different platforms. They're more exposed, so they'll try to use the foreign platform and so forth. But amongst the critical Malay mass, this is more relevant for them. We are much more known amongst the mainstream Malay, for example. So, you know, I've got a lot of colleagues from different various corporate sectors that have never even heard of our company, because partly when they want to read and stuff like that, they'll go to the mainstream ebook stores, like from the West or whatnot. So it's because they were looking for contents that came from the New York bestseller list and so forth. They weren't looking for, you know, Suamiku, Mr. Sotong, and you know, Mr. I Love You, Mr. Arrogant, and all these sort of titles that so-called sensational in mainstream, you know. So it's two different worlds, and it is crucial that you understand the sentiment of your mass market. Then only then that you can start selling to them. 20% of the deliverables are related to your technology and your initial idea and all that sort of stuff. 80% would probably be down to how you market and sell and convince people and get a buy-in. So, of course, it's definitely a huge chunk of your early day life. I am heavily involved in the sales and marketing team from day one. Still is, partly because I don't know how to program, so that's the only thing that I can do. But I think if you have great product, but no one is buying it, then you have a problem also. So it's important that you have a great product and you quickly monetize from that, because if you don't monetize, then you might face into other problems as well. I have to say that the B2B part was a really big plus for us, because on B2B you're not really dealing with a lot of customers. You're dealing with several customers, focus at that, and they can bring you a good cash flow back. When you deal with the B2C market, then you're talking about multiple amounts of customers that you have to satisfy in a very short span of time. So I think that the B2B was a really crucial component for us in terms of getting the revenue that we wanted, and to be able to sustain and not really dig in deep into your investment. So that's really important. The founders will need to know how to sell, because if they don't know how to sell, then it will be harder for other people to sell, because then they won't know the product or they won't understand it as well as you can. But it's also important for founders to actually know how to scale the sales team. So in order to do that, you need to be able to transfer all that knowledge to the relevant people that is in your sales and marketing team.